So a while ago, probably over a year ago, actually, I was talking to my nephew about an engine setup for his cortina, which used to be my old cortina here. Now it's his old cortina, Mark V gear. And we were talking about different setups and engine setups and stuff, and the turbo one I've got is not cheap to do, but there had to be an easier alternative. So we got to talking about superchargers, and I said I'd have a go at building one. So this is kind of what it is and where it's going to go. Not done one before. We're going to keep it carbureted. We're going to use a Toyota SC14 supercharger like this one here, and a set of Rover V8 carbs, issue carbs like these ones here. And just going to make it work. So I've had it sitting around for a while. I've been playing with areas for, you know, a good area to mount the supercharger itself where it's going to clear everything, because it's staying dizzy and it's going carbed. So no trigger wheels, no ECU, no fuel injection. We're just going to make it work old school ways. And it has to be able to fit under the bonnet of his car and clear the engine bay. But the Mark V Cortina is pretty good. You know, it's a pretty big engine bay. So here's what we've got so far. I think I've finally solved the mounting problem. That there allows enough room for a dizzy. This here can go straight into there. The carbs are all mounted. The side of the firewall is, well, the side of the engine bay is out here. The belt alignment will be good. Oil filters cleared. That there could be the spot we need. Okay, so having a little play with the supercharger, I put an angle on it, bolted an angle to it just to see, to make sure everything was level. I had to make up a little bit of a spacer here and remove the pulley just to make up for that gap down there. But that there, once the pulley is on here, on the shaft, it's all aligned. But at the moment that is 100% straight, so the pulley should run right. But that obviously led into the fact that this little lug needed to be removed, this little lug needed to be removed, and I had to trim some of the inlet manifold. It's only where the water jacket is, so there's a couple of options there. I could just plate it and weld it, or just not run any of the heater hoses to the inlet manifold. There's a few ways of getting around that, but now that that is 100% where it needs to be, I can start making brackets and mounts. Started making the mount. That's 10mm thick steel, 10mm by 50. A couple of gussets. Get them welded on, and then that should be the base. And then I'll have to make some top mounts. Right, so the SC14 has a like a P-belt pulley on it, and it's actually on a clutch, so you can turn them on and off like a Mad Max style. But for sheer ease, we decided to ditch that, because we're going to go a normal belt, just a normal V-belt, and hopefully we'll be able to get enough tension on it that it'll be able to work. So what I did was, instead of using the crank pulley, I got a crank pulley off a Sierra, which has the double belt, so we'll still be able to run the belt for the alternator, and then be able to run the supercharger off this belt. And then what I did was, I gave the center to a mate of mine, and he whacked it on his little lathe and machined down the center part of it, which is this part here and that bit there. We machined it down to fit inside this pulley here, which is a press fit at the moment, but I will put a couple of tacks on it. But that pulley and that pulley means that we should be able to maximize the RPM of that at around about 6,200 RPM of the engine. So that should be enough, but if not, there's a couple other choices that we can use. That there just replaces the clutch pulley. I also made up some mounts that space the carbs out, but we're probably going to have to make that out of I can't remember what the material is, but I'm going to actually get a mate to 3D print me something. But that spaces the carbs out. It allows for the linkages to be joined together and then maybe use one hose. But yeah, you kind of get the idea. Well, that's the brackets all tacked together. The supercharger's sitting there by itself at the moment. It's actually quite sturdy and nothing's really fully welded. I've still got one more that I'd like to take from here, bring it around and tie it into this one here and then gusset them. But the bottom one's a strong one. Bottom one has taken all the weight. All of this excess steel here is at the moment for I'm going to use it to mount all the tensioners off, but that's the supercharger sitting where it needs to sit. It's pretty good and everything is pretty close, you know, but there's still clearance, like still a little bit of clearance there, there and there, so nothing is really touching, even though the supercharger is not going to move. It everything's pretty close. There should be enough room in there for a dizzy, although I'll probably have to use a side draft cap, you know, the ones that put the leads out on an angle. I might run a couple of tensioners to try and tension the belt up, but that's it. That's pretty good, and all of that should definitely fit onto the bottom of the Cortina. The float bowls on the carbs are off on a bit of an angle, but I had a little play with the one on this side, and if you loosen the bolt in here that holds this one on, you can kind of just move them around and then tighten them up, so you can get them level, re-tighten them, and then good to go. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with that.